So here's a Z update for you. We got the Grimspeed boost controller in the other day, just a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week ago. Got it installed. You can see it here. So we've got it hooked up in line with the wastegate control, and after doing so, still had some issues. We weren't getting the boost that we were commanding, even though we turned that thing up to about what probably should have been about 9.5 or 10. We weren't getting it. So I pulled off the blow-off valve, and that's what we have here. This is connected to the intake manifold, and the pressure of the spring is set pretty close to wastegate pressure. So as soon as, if the wastegate were to fail to open for whatever reason, like our Grimspeed boost controller, this spring would allow the air to then escape into the atmosphere and thus becoming a huge boost leak. So what I got going on here now is I got some scrap turbos hanging around the garage, and I got a couple of other springs out of them. And for the most part, I don't really need this valve to do anything anymore. I just want it to be blocked off so I can put these two springs inside one another, and then finally inside the original spring, and probably about triple the spring tension that it would take to pop this thing open. We still have our bypass valve and the intake, so we're not going to be having any real compressor surge issues, and I'm not super concerned about that anyway, since we're just doing 1/8 mile full throttle and then lift, and there's not going to be a whole lot of boost and then lift, boost and lift, so I don't think compressor surge is going to be a big issue. But I'm going to get this thing popped into here and make some runs in the car around my neighborhood here and see what kind of boost we can make it make. We're also having some problems with our wideband air fuel sensor, so not going to push it real hard right now. I got a new wideband sensor coming. Until I get that, I'm not going to push the boost much, but I just want to see some consistency on our boost pressure. Last time at the track, we were surprised with a failed head gasket that was causing a large coolant leak. After they kicked us off of the staging lanes, we got it back to the shop and pulled the head.
Good. All right. Now it's better now.
That face, boy! And those should be the last ones. We got to make sure that this intake's not attached by anything else. No wire. This thing hadn't been apart in presumably 30 years, so the easiest way to tear it down was to pull the head, intake, and exhaust all as one assembly, and although it weighed a ton, it actually came off pretty straightforward. Just kind of wobble it.
No, it feels like it's on this side.
No, it's the exhaust pipe, dude. We're not separated from it.
What?
Yeah,
definitely not.
Yeah, all the nuts are out, but it's not separated. Hand me a flathead.
Here.
No,
Big one?
Front.
Big one?
No, a smaller one. Like a medium one. I don't have that much space.
Average size.
Just average, yeah.
Extra medium.
Let me lift first, Jeff. Okay. Oh, no, my side's not moving. Oh, there it goes. Now we're hung. Ow. Is it that linkage? Is it catching on the sheet metal? There we go. There we go. Alright. Hold on, I got a line here I gotta drop. Alright, let's move it up. Just sit there for a sec. Ow, just a little bit.
You're right.
No, I'm okay. Ow, hold on.
I got it.
Alright.
You ready?
Yeah, we gotta go up, dude. Your exhaust pipe's catching everything, dude. That's where we're getting hung.
Yeah.
Alright, you gotta lift hard, dude. I'll be behind you. Hold on. God damn.
You ready? Oh, shit.
We're close together. Woo! Ow!
You alright?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Dude, my hands hurt.
Yeah, this is the same exact gasket we're about to put on it.
What do you think?
Well, I think we're going to do a better job than the last guys did.
So, when we got the head off, this is exactly what we found right where the leak was coming from. Pretty sure that broken head bolt probably had something to do with it. So, some new head studs and a new gasket, and I think we're going to be just fine.
This is the exact same gasket we're about to put on
Literally
it.
the exact same gasket. No retort.
But hopefully they just reused those head bolts and overexerted them. And it was that loss of clamping force right there by cylinder number 5 that caused the coolant leak. Once we got the head assembly off, we dismantled the intake and exhaust, renewed all the gaskets, found a lot of play in the turbine shaft, so we disassembled the turbo, rebuilt it, replaced all the bearings, installed a whole new timing set, ARP head studs, Felpro head gasket set, wrapped the exhaust, put a blanket on the turbo to try to keep underhood temps down, and eventually got it all back together and were able to make some test hits on the road.